The distress call was never meant to be answered. It was supposed to drift across the void, a last cry from a dying colony on the edge of the Orion Arm. The people of Epsilon 9 had already accepted their fate. Their shields were gone, power was low, and the alien swarm that surrounded their world had already begun to feed on the cities below. Commander Arlen stood inside the shattered command tower, the glass walls glowing red from the burning horizon. He could hear the rumble of the planet's crust cracking under bombardment. He pressed the transmission button one last time and whispered, "This is Epsilon 9 Command. If anyone hears this, please, remember us." Then the signal left the planet, cutting through light years of empty space, past abandoned star lanes and forgotten battlefields. It was weak, fragmented, but it reached farther than anyone expected. 3 weeks later, on the edge of a different system, one marked forbidden on every galactic map, the signal brushed across a sleeping network. Hidden deep under a planet of storms, beneath oceans of methane and silence, something ancient stirred. It had been centuries since anyone tried to contact the Deathworlders. The Galactic Council had buried their name long ago. The story said the Deathworlders were not monsters, but something worse. Beings from a planet where everything tried to kill them. Their world was called Earth. Long ago, when the Council first found them, they thought they could teach the humans peace. But the humans did not learn peace. They learned everything else. They learned how to fight, how to survive, how to win wars that should never have been winnable. And when the Council realized the cost of awakening them, they sealed the coordinates. But now, that forgotten beacon had reached their ancient relay. A drone satellite orbiting the toxic planet suddenly blinked alive. A line of old code activated, something older than most civilizations now thriving in the stars. The message repeated again and again, each time growing clearer as the system rerouted the transmission toward the planet's core. Under kilometers of rock and ice, deep in a forgotten bunker, cold machines began to hum. The air filled with static, and lights that had not shined in centuries flickered on. The message echoed inside the control chamber. "This is Epsilon 9 Command. If anyone hears this, please, remember us." A low voice answered the silence. "Signal confirmed. Human distress pattern detected." The machines began their work. Long sleeping engines started to warm. Dust fell from the ceiling as power returned. In the darkness, a metal pod released its lock. Inside it, a human form lay in stasis, eyes closed, chest still. Then the monitors flashed green. The pod opened. The man inside gasped for air. His name was Captain Elias Ward, last recorded commander of the Terran Vanguard, the first human fleet ever to reach the galactic rim. He had gone into cryosleep centuries ago, waiting for a signal that never came, until now. He stood slowly, his muscles trembling but his eyes sharp. "Who activated me?" he asked. The AI's voice replied, calm but ancient. "Distress signal received from Epsilon 9. Civilian colony under siege. Coordinates registered." Ward frowned. "Epsilon 9? That's deep in Council space." "Confirmed," said the AI. "No Deathworlder fleets detected in nearby sectors. You are the last operational command unit." Ward looked around the control room. The dust, the silence, the endless hum of old machines, it all felt like the past had been sleeping, waiting for this moment. "Then I guess we wake them up," he muttered. Outside, the ground began to shake. Massive structures hidden beneath the surface started to rise, ancient ships of black metal and human design. The last surviving Deathworlder battle group. Their hulls bore names like Vengeance, Iron Dawn, and Soul's Wrath. The AI's tone shifted. "Warning, Council surveillance may detect launch activity." Ward smirked. "Then let them. Maybe they need reminding what happens when humanity wakes up." Far away, in Council headquarters, several alien species sat around a holographic table as alarms began to flash. A comms officer stuttered, "Sir, something just came online in the dead sector." "Impossible," hissed a blue-skinned diplomat. "That system was sterilized." But the readings were clear. Energy spikes beyond recorded limits. Magnetic storms bending space. Then the signal appeared, an old human encryption, one they had hoped to never see again. Terran Vanguard command. Active. The chamber fell silent. Every being in the room understood what it meant. The Deathworlders were awake. And somewhere across the stars, the colonists of Epsilon 9 saw a new light streak across the sky. Fast, bright, and furious. Commander Arlen stared upward through the smoke and ash, whispering in disbelief. "That's not a council ship." No one knew who had answered the call. But for the first time in weeks, the people of Epsilon 9 felt something they had forgotten. Hope. The light that cut across the Epsilon 9 sky wasn't like anything the colonists had ever seen. It wasn't the cold blue of council patrol ships or the purple glow of alien war fleets. This one burned white, pure and angry, like a piece of a dying star falling straight from heaven. For hours, people stood in the streets, staring up as the fire grew brighter. Some thought it was another attack. Others thought it was the end. But Commander Arlen felt something different deep inside his chest, a pulse, a memory, something old and human. He whispered, "That's ours." The burning light slowed as it entered orbit. Then, in silence, hundreds of smaller lights broke away and began to descend. They didn't fall like debris, they maneuvered. Controlled. Precise. A formation. Council scanners detected them immediately. The alien swarm surrounding Epsilon 9 turned their feeding ships toward the sky, preparing to attack. But before they could fire, the first Deathworlder ship arrived. It came out of the clouds with no warning, black metal cutting through the smoke like a blade. The hull markings were clear even through the dust. TVS Iron Dawn. The ship's main cannons opened fire before the alien swarm even realized what was happening. Bolts of plasma the size of towers ripped through the sky, burning through enemy ships as if they were paper. The ground shook with every blast. The colonists covered their ears as thunder rolled across the planet. Then, through the roar, a voice echoed across every comm channel, every speaker, every radio still working. "This is Captain Elias Ward of the Terran Vanguard. Hold your ground, humans. You're not alone anymore." The words spread like wildfire. Soldiers who had been ready to die suddenly picked up their weapons again. Civilians in the tunnels began to shout and cry. Even the wounded tried to stand. For the first time since the siege began, Epsilon 9 fought back. Ward stood on the bridge of the Iron Dawn, watching the alien fleet scatter. "Status?" he asked. "Enemy count, 362 bioships," replied the AI. "Primary weapons at 80% charge. Atmospheric interference heavy." Ward's lips curved into a thin smile. "Good. They'll never see the rest coming." In orbit above the planet, more Deathworlder ships decloaked, massive carriers and destroyers built from iron and radiation. They moved with precision, every ship locking into formation around the planet. Within minutes, they began to deploy drop pods, thousands of them. Each one burned a trail of fire through the atmosphere as it fell. On the surface, Arlen watched one of the pods crash into a ruined plaza. The door blew open, and soldiers in heavy armor stepped out. Their armor was black and scarred, with glowing red visors that looked almost alive. One of them raised his weapon and scanned the area. "Commander Arlen?" Arlen nodded, too stunned to speak. "Terran Vanguard, Ground Division," the soldier said. "We got your call." Before Arlen could reply, the ground shook again, an alien transport dropping from the sky. The soldier looked up and grinned behind his helmet. "Stay back." He raised a launcher, fired once, and the alien ship exploded mid-air, showering the plaza in burning debris. Arlen stared in disbelief. "How many of you are there?" he asked. The soldier's voice came calm and steady. "Enough." Meanwhile, high above, Ward's ships continued their assault. The alien swarm tried to adapt, reshaping their bioships, changing attack patterns, but it didn't matter. The Deathworlders fought differently. They didn't retreat. They didn't calculate odds. They charged. A council fleet, stationed several systems away, finally detected the battle. The High Command watched the transmission in silence. A reptilian admiral hissed, "We must stop them. If the Deathworlders rise again, every border will burn." But another voice, older, softer, spoke from the shadows. "It's already too late. They were made for this." Back on Epsilon 9, the fight raged across the cities. Deathworlder soldiers moved through fire and rubble like ghosts, coordinating perfectly with aerial strikes. Every move was calculated, every shot precise. The aliens began to retreat, not out of fear, but confusion. They didn't understand what they were fighting. The Deathworlders didn't use the Council's rules of engagement. They fought to win, whatever the cost. Hours later, the sky turned quiet again. Smoke rose from the horizon, but the alien swarm was broken. Arlen stood beside the armored soldier in the ruined plaza. "You saved us," he said. The soldier turned to face him. "We answered the call. That's what we do." Above them, the Iron Dawn hovered silently. Inside, Ward looked at the planet's surface on the screen, expression unreadable. "AI," he said. "How long were we asleep?" "Approximately 412 standard years," it replied. Ward exhaled slowly. "Then the galaxies changed." "Affirmative," said the AI. The Council expanded. Humanity's colonies were erased from record. Ward looked out at the stars. "Then I guess it's time they remembered who we are." He turned toward the communications console. "Send a message to all active Deathworlder networks. The Vanguard is awake." The AI hesitated. "This will reveal your position to every major power." Ward smiled faintly. "Good. Let them come. We're done sleeping." As the message transmitted across the galaxy, countless old satellites and forgotten stations began to blink awake. Some were buried in ice. Others floated dead in space. But they all carried the same symbol, the mark of Earth. And in distant corners of the universe, long-lost human colonies, mercenary outposts, and wanderer fleets received the same signal. They read it once, then again, their hearts pounding. "The Deathworlders have returned." Across the stars, whispers began. Some in fear, others in awe. Old enemies stirred. Old allies wept. Because everyone remembered the same thing. When the Deathworlders wake, wars end. The galaxy did not sleep the night the Deathworlders awoke. Every major council world was on high alert. Fleets scrambled, intelligence networks burned with rumors, and ancient files marked Class Omega were quietly reopened. The name, Terran Vanguard, appeared again after 4 centuries, and that name alone was enough to shake every government in the stars. Captain Elias Ward stood on the bridge of the Iron Dawn, staring at the star map projected before him. Red zones pulsed across the screen, each one marking a system where human colonies once existed, and where now only council flags remained. "AI," he said quietly. "Confirm, no human signatures in any registered system?" "Confirmed," the machine replied. "Earth's location, classified as restricted by the Galactic Council. No known human presence in active galactic charts." Ward's hands tightened into fists. "They erased us." "Affirmative," said the AI. "Historical databases were rewritten approximately 3 centuries ago. The Council declared humanity extinct due to planetary instability." Ward laughed bitterly. "Extinct? That's their word for genocide." He turned away from the screen. The bridge was filled with soft red light and the steady hum of reactors deep below. Most of the crew were machines, autonomous combat units built to serve when no humans remained. But a few cryopods still waited in the lower decks, holding the rest of Ward's command team, sleeping through the centuries. He glanced at them through the observation glass. "Wake the officers," he said. "If the galaxy thinks we're ghosts, then let's haunt them properly." The AI obeyed. One by one, the pods hissed open, releasing the pale fog of centuries. Men and women in faded Vanguard armor gasped their first breaths in 400 years. Confusion filled their eyes, then training took over. Captain Ward. One of them croaked, blinking at the lights. Ward nodded. Welcome back, Commander Lee. We've got a situation. The Council deleted our people. Lee's expression hardened instantly. Then we delete them back. Ward almost smiled. Humanity hadn't changed. Far away, on the Council's capital world Varelia, the High Command gathered in emergency session. The circular chamber was carved from translucent crystal, glowing with the light of thousands of data streams. Dozens of alien species filled the seats, their voices overlapping in panic. The Deathworlders must not be allowed to expand, shouted a scaled delegate from the Threx Dominion. Their return will bring chaos. Another, tall and insect-like, hissed. They were sealed for a reason. We agreed never to awaken them. An elder figure, the Grand Chancellor herself, raised a trembling hand. Silence. The room fell quiet. Her eyes flickered as she reviewed the live feed of Epsilon 9. Wrecked alien ships floated in orbit, burning silently. Human drop pods covered the surface like iron seeds. They destroyed a bioswarm fleet in less than 2 hours, she whispered. No living species should be capable of that. A younger officer stepped forward. Madam Chancellor, shall we send the Vanguard response fleet? She hesitated. No. Not yet. We must learn what they want. Back aboard the Iron Dawn, Ward watched a dozen holographic signals appear, old Earth frequencies responding to his broadcast. Some came from derelict colonies. Some from ships lost centuries ago. And one, faint but steady, came from deep within the forbidden zone of the galaxy. The AI's tone changed. Captain, signal origin matches old Terran coordinates. Ward's heart froze. Earth. Unknown. But the encryption is identical to pre-exile Terran protocols. For the first time in centuries, a ghost of home called back. Trace it, Ward ordered. I want that signal locked in. Outside the viewport, Epsilon 9 rotated beneath the ship, scarred but alive. The colonists had begun rebuilding their shelters. Children ran through the dust chasing glowing drones. The Deathworlders had given them safety, for now. But Ward knew it wouldn't last. He turned to his officers. We can't stay. The Council's going to respond fast. We need to move before their fleets arrive. Commander Lee frowned. We just saved these people. I know, Ward said quietly. But if we stay, we bring war here. We'll come back once we have answers. The ship's engines ignited, shaking the air. The colonists below watched as the Iron Dawn rose into the night, leaving trails of fire behind. Many didn't understand who those humans were, but they would never forget the words they left behind. Hold the line. Humanity remembers its own. Hours later, deep in space, the Iron Dawn traveled through a silent corridor of ancient star wrecks. The stars flickered like memories. Ward stood near the viewport, lost in thought. AI, he said softly. Run me the Council records about the sealing order. A pause. Accessing restricted archives. Processing. Data recovered. The screen filled with old images, Council ships surrounding Earth's orbit, human fleets burning, and a single broadcast from a terrified alien leader. The Deathworlders have conquered every test. Every threat we gave them, they adapted. We cannot destroy them, so we will erase them. Ward's jaw clenched. He watched the final lines of the document. Project Silence. All human colonies are to be purged or rewritten from history. Any surviving Terran ships are to be buried under deep stasis protocols. He shut the screen off. His voice was quiet, almost calm. They wiped out our home and called it peace. Commander Lee stepped beside him. Then what do we do now? Ward turned to face her. The fire in his eyes was cold, steady. We find Earth. We wake the rest. And then, we remind the galaxy what happens when you try to bury humanity. The Iron Dawn changed course toward the signal. The engines roared like thunder as the ship vanished into faster-than-light travel, leaving a trail of white fire behind. And somewhere in the shadows of the galaxy, the Council's fleets began to move too. Hundreds of warships, weapons charging, their captains whispering one word that no one had dared say aloud for centuries. Deathworlders. The hunt had begun. The stars looked calm, but Captain Elias Ward knew better. Space was never silent when hunters were near. The Iron Dawn moved through a dark corridor between nebulous storms, its engines running cold to hide its trail. Inside, every light was dimmed, every console whisper quiet. Ward stood on the bridge, eyes fixed on the map. Council ships are closing, said the AI. 17 warcruisers, 2 carriers, and 1 command vessel. Range: 3 million kilometers. Commander Lee frowned. They're faster than before. New drives, maybe. Ward nodded. 400 years is plenty of time to upgrade. But they still think like the Council. Predictable. He tapped a control. A hologram appeared, a pale blue outline of the system ahead. There. Dead moon, high iron content. We'll use it for cover. Bring weapons online, but keep them cold until I say. The ship drifted toward the barren moon, sliding behind its shadow. Outside, the void rippled as the enemy fleet arrived, sleek vessels shining in Council silver, their hulls carved like works of art. Each one carried enough firepower to level continents. On the bridge of the lead ship, Admiral Vorn of the Threx Dominion stared at the readings. His claws tapped the console. Target confirmed. Terran Vanguard signature. Activate suppression protocols. A young officer hesitated. Sir, are we certain it's them? The Deathworlders. Vorn hissed. Do you see any other species that build ships out of tungsten and madness? Fire. The Council fleet opened fire. Thousands of plasma bolts crossed the void, glowing like suns. The Iron Dawn vanished into the shadows an instant before the barrage hit. Explosions ripped across the moon's surface, tearing craters miles wide. Direct hit? Asked Vorn. Negative, said the officer. They're gone. But the Iron Dawn was not gone. It was moving through the moon. Deep under the crust, its rail drills burned through stone like butter. The AI spoke calmly as the hull shook. Structural integrity at 96%. We will emerge in 30 seconds. Ward's grin was sharp. Good. Let's show them how Deathworlders fight. The ship burst out from the far side of the moon like a missile. Its cannons ignited all at once, releasing a storm of kinetic slugs that ripped through the nearest cruiser. The Council ship exploded into white fire, scattering debris across space. Commander Lee shouted over the alarms. Target 2 locked. Fire. The next barrage struck with surgical precision. Another cruiser split in half, its reactors flaring. The Council fleet broke formation in panic. Inside the command vessel, Admiral Vorn snarled. Impossible. That ship's centuries old. A voice cut across his comms, calm and human. Centuries make us meaner, Admiral. The line went dead. The Council ships regrouped and launched fighters. Hundreds of small, fast craft that swarmed toward the Iron Dawn like silver insects. Ward's eyes hardened. Deploy drones. The Deathworlder drones were ancient, brutal things. Metal spheres armed with rotating guns and intelligent shrapnel. They didn't form neat lines or follow programmed paths. They hunted. Within minutes, the space around the Iron Dawn became chaos. Fighters burned, missiles detonated, and the Council fleet began to fall apart. But victory came with a cost. The Iron Dawn shook violently as plasma fire struck its flank. Sparks rained across the bridge. Shields at 30%, the AI reported. Reactor overload in progress. Stabilize it, Ward ordered. I am trying. Another blast rocked the hull. The lights dimmed, and a section of the ship fell silent. Commander Lee steadied herself. We can't hold this forever. Ward's jaw tightened. We don't have to. Just long enough. Long enough for what? Ward pointed at the star map. for the message to finish. She blinked. You sent another signal? He nodded. A full-band transmission, coded to every old Terran relay left in the galaxy. They'll hear it. All of them. Outside, the ship's railguns fired one last time, punching straight through the Council flagship's bridge. The blast tore Admiral Vorn's vessel apart. The rest of the fleet broke formation and fled into hyperspace. For a moment, the void went still again. Smoke filled the Iron Dawn's bridge. Ward wiped dust from his face and looked around. Damage report. Severe hull breach in Section 4. Shields offline. Engines at 40%, said the AI. Commander Lee sank into her seat, exhausted. But we're alive. Ward smiled faintly. Alive is enough. Silence settled over them. Through the shattered viewport, the stars burned quietly, cold, distant witnesses to another war humanity had survived. Then the AI spoke again, softer this time. Captain, there is something you should see. The central screen flickered. A message had arrived, encrypted, ancient, carrying a human signature pattern unlike any the AI had seen in centuries. The voice was rough, male, tired. This is Admiral Marcus Reyes, Earth Defense Command. If you're hearing this, then the Council lied. Earth lives. But not for long. We are under siege. To any Terran Vanguard unit still operational, come home. The bridge went silent. Ward stared at the screen as the message repeated. Commander Lee whispered. He said Earth lives. Ward nodded slowly. After 400 years. He looked toward the stars where the signal had come from, a distant sector, far beyond Council borders. Set course for Sol, he said. The AI hesitated. That system is quarantined. Entry punishable by annihilation. Ward's voice was calm. Then they can try. Engines roared. The Iron Dawn turned toward the heart of the galaxy, its damaged hull glowing in the light of distant suns. Behind them, the wrecks of the Council fleet drifted silently, a warning written in fire. Across the stars, the message continued to spread, reaching every hidden outpost, every silent relay. Humans in exile, mercenaries, wanderers, all heard the same call. Earth was alive. And the Deathworlders were coming home. The Iron Dawn cut through empty space like a blade. Its engines hummed low, damaged but powerful, carrying Captain Elias Ward and his crew toward a destination that had haunted humanity for centuries. Earth. The crew had recovered from their first battle with the Council fleet, but tension remained thick in the air. Commander Lee moved between stations, checking systems. Sparks from previous hits still sizzled in the hull. The bridge smelled faintly of burnt circuits. Captain, she said, we're approaching the Sol system. Sensors detect multiple energy signatures, but nothing familiar. Ward's eyes narrowed. Council cloaking. The AI replied, partially. It appears the entire system is shielded with layered energy barriers. Signature patterns match human technology, but heavily modified. Ward's jaw tightened. Then Earth isn't quiet. It's hiding. Below, in the lower decks, the remaining Deathworlder cryopods had been opened. Officers and specialists blinked at the dim light, scanning the ship's logs and maps. Some recognized old Terran coordinates. Others did not. Lieutenant Soren, a former fleet navigator, leaned over a console. Captain, the planetary shields, they're enormous. Whoever's controlling them doesn't want anyone coming close. Ward's eyes flickered with resolve. Good. That means someone's alive. And that means humanity survived. Outside the viewport, the stars of Sol shimmered. But the familiar planets were shrouded in energy fields. The AI calculated trajectories, scanning for openings. Best entry point, asteroid belt. Shields weaken slightly at certain positions due to orbit alignment. Time window, 36 minutes. Ward nodded. Then we move fast. I want no mistakes. The Iron Dawn slipped into the asteroid belt like a shadow. Massive rocks tumbled silently, their surfaces scarred by ancient collisions. The ship's shields flared, protecting it from debris. Every second felt like an eternity. Then a warning flashed. Unknown fleet approaching from inner orbit. Ward frowned. "Show me." Holographic screens filled the bridge. The fleet was unlike anything he had seen. Ships were sleek, fast, and entirely human in design, but not Vanguard. These vessels carried heavy energy shields, advanced weapons, and markings of a fleet long thought extinct. "They've been here a long time," Ward whispered. "Confirmed," said the AI. "Fleet logs date back at least 200 years. They are fully operational and highly advanced." Commander Lee's eyes widened. "Then these are humans. But not the Council's humans. Hidden humans." Ward's lips curved. "Exactly what I've been hoping for." The hidden fleet opened communications. A deep, commanding voice echoed across the bridge. "This is Admiral Marcus Reyes, Earth Defense Command. Identify yourselves." Ward straightened. "Captain Elias Ward, Terran Vanguard, Iron Dawn. We received a distress call from Epsilon 9. We are here to assist." A long pause followed. The screen flickered, and Reyes' face appeared, a man hardened by centuries of war, eyes sharp, hair silvered with age. "Ward, I thought you were gone. The Council buried every record. We've been hiding ever since the Purge." Ward felt a chill run down his spine. "Earth survived. But we were erased. I've come to find out why, and to reclaim what is ours." "You'll see soon," Reyes replied. "But be warned. The Council still believes Earth is neutralized. They won't stop at warnings. You must navigate carefully." Ward nodded. "Understood." Reyes gave a brief nod. "Prepare for atmospheric entry. Planetary defenses are automated. You will be tested." The Iron Dawn descended slowly through the energy barriers. Pulsing shields attempted to halt its path, but the ship's reinforced hull held. Lasers struck its surface, melting portions of the armor, but the ship pressed onward. On the planet below, massive cities emerged from centuries of hidden development. Towers stretched into the clouds, glowing with energy, while the streets pulsed with vehicles moving at incredible speed. Humans had rebuilt in secret, technology advancing far beyond the Council's records. Ward and Lee exchanged a look. "They've been preparing," Lee whispered. "Yes," Ward said. "They knew this day would come. And now, it has." The Iron Dawn finally broke through the last barrier, landing in a massive docking bay of a hidden orbital station. As the ramp descended, humans in advanced armor lined the walls, weapons ready, but expressions of recognition softened their stance when they saw Ward. Reyes stepped forward, hand extended. "Welcome home, Captain. You've come at the right time." Ward grasped his hand firmly. "We have a lot to talk about, but first, we need to prepare. The Council won't wait." Reyes nodded. "They won't. And there's something else you need to know. Not all of our people are loyal. Some believe in submission. Others have darker plans." Ward's eyes narrowed. "Then we'll remind them why humans fight." The hidden city's lights reflected off the Iron Dawn's hull as Ward looked up at the sky. Above, satellites and defensive platforms moved into position, ready for the coming storm. The galaxy had tried to erase humanity. It had failed. And now, Earth itself was awakening. The calm before the storm lasted barely an hour. Captain Elias Ward stood on the observation deck of the hidden orbital station, staring at the Sol system sprawled beneath him. The planets rotated silently, but Ward knew the peace was fragile. The Council would not ignore this signal for long. Every warship, every admiral, every weapon they had would be moving toward Earth within days. "Status?" Ward asked, his voice steady but tense. Commander Lee pointed to a holographic map. "Council fleets detected, 3 jumps out. They're coordinating at maximum speed. Estimated time to Sol, 24 hours." Ward nodded. Then we don't wait. Prepare the fleet for battle. Every ship, every pilot, every weapon we have. Today, we remind the galaxy why humans survive. Admiral Marcus Reyes stepped forward, face grim. Not all of our fleet agrees with you, Ward. Some believe in compromise, surrender. They fear the Council too much. Ward's eyes narrowed. Then we'll teach them courage. Below them, in the city, humans were mobilizing. Advanced tanks rolled across the streets, drones lifted from hangars, and orbital defense cannons hummed to life. Hidden factories churned out weapons and vehicles, technology centuries ahead of anything the Council had ever seen. The Iron Dawn led the fleet into orbit, flanked by sleek battlecruisers and dozens of smaller strike ships. Pilots ran final checks, their faces tight with focus. Ward's voice cut through the comms. All units, listen carefully. We're not just defending Earth. We're sending a message to the galaxy. Humanity will not be erased. You follow my orders. You survive. And you fight until victory is ours. A chorus of affirmative responses echoed across the fleet. Moments later, the first Council scouts appeared. A squadron of sleek silver fighters, faster and more numerous than anything Ward had faced before. They opened fire immediately. Lasers streaked across space, striking shields, melting armor, and testing every system of the Vanguard fleet. Ward's hands danced across the controls of the Iron Dawn. Return fire. Target the lead ship. The fleet responded in perfect synchronization. Cannons roared, missiles streaked, and plasma bolts illuminated the void like fireworks. The Council fighters, though advanced, struggled against coordinated human tactics. But victory came with chaos. One of Ward's allies, a veteran cruiser under Admiral Reyes' command, suddenly deviated from formation. Its weapons turned not on the enemy, but on a nearby human ship. Betrayal! Lee shouted, eyes wide. They're attacking us. Ward's jaw tightened. Shields up. Target the rogue vessel. The Iron Dawn's cannons fired, striking the rebel cruiser with precision. Sparks and fire erupted across its hull. Inside, humans loyal to compromise shouted in confusion as the vessel's engines failed. Reyes' face darkened. I should have known. Some of our people have been Council sympathizers all along. They've been waiting for this moment. Ward gritted his teeth. Then we burn their hesitation away. The fleet pressed forward, fighting not just the Council, but a shadow war within their own ranks. Every engagement tested courage, skill, and the ability to adapt faster than the enemy. Humans proved why they had survived the Deathworlder trials. Instinct, creativity, and unrelenting determination. Outside, space itself became a storm of fire and metal. Dozens of Council fighters burned, wrecked ships tumbled in silence, and orbital cannons struck enemy warships with deadly accuracy. Ward felt a pulse in his chest, an old feeling he had not known in centuries, the thrill of survival and the exhilaration of humanity proving its strength. Then, a signal came from deep in Earth's orbit. Unknown. Ancient. It carried the same encryption as the first message Ward had received. Ward tapped the comm, identify. A calm, measured voice responded. This is the Terra Prime defense node. You've awakened humanity, Captain. But beware, what you see above is only the beginning. The Council hides more than fleets. They've buried secrets on the planet itself, secrets that could change everything. Ward's eyes narrowed. Secrets? Yes. Something they hoped you would never find. And now, with the fleet at your side, it may awaken too. A chill ran through the bridge. Ward looked at Lee. Prepare for a ground operation. If the Council wants a fight, we give them more than they expect. Outside, the battle continued. Council fighters fell one by one, but the main fleets were still hours away. The hidden humans, inspired by the return of the Vanguard, fought with unmatched tenacity. Ward stood tall, voice calm yet powerful. Today we defend our home. Tomorrow, we uncover the truth. Humanity was never meant to be silent. We will not stop until the galaxy remembers us. And in that moment, the stars themselves seemed to tremble, as if sensing the awakening of a force long thought extinct, but now unstoppable. The Sol system was a storm of fire and steel. The Council's main fleet had arrived, hundreds of warships forming a wall of silver death, their weapons glowing ominously. But the vanguard fleet, led by the Iron Dawn, did not retreat. Humans had survived worse than this. They would survive again. Captain Elias Ward stood on the bridge, eyes fixed on the approaching enemy. Commander Lee was at his side, fingers dancing across the controls, coordinating fighter wings and orbital cannons. Every ship, every soldier, every weapon had been prepared for this moment. Status, Ward demanded. Council fleet formation tight, Lee replied. Weapons charging. They're trying to contain us near Sol. But there's a weak point near the asteroid belt. Ward's lips curved into a thin smile. Then we lead them there. The fleet surged forward. The first volleys of plasma fire streaked across space, striking shields and hulls. The Iron Dawn's cannons responded instantly, tearing through enemy fighters and shredding warship armor. Explosions bloomed across the void, bright as miniature suns. But the battle was not just in orbit. On the planet below, human forces moved rapidly, guided by Admiral Marcus Reyes. Hidden defensive systems activated, targeting Council landing crafts. Automated turrets fired with deadly precision, striking down assault troops before they could reach the surface. A message crackled through Ward's comms. Captain, planetary sensors detect something unusual. Energy signatures in the Siberian region of Earth are spiking. Ward frowned. Siberia. What's there? Unknown, the AI replied. Ancient Council records mention a containment facility. Possibly a weapon. Or an experiment. Ward turned to Lee. Plot a course. I want to see it for myself. The Iron Dawn broke orbit, diving toward the planet's surface at impossible speed. Plasma bolts and missiles streaked past, some striking the hull. Alarms blared. Shields flickered, barely holding. The terrain beneath was scarred, frozen, yet there was something different about the region. Energy ripples warped the atmosphere, like reality itself was bending. As the ship descended, a massive structure revealed itself, a buried facility, hidden beneath kilometers of ice and rock. Inside, the AI scanned rapidly. Captain, readings indicate human DNA, centuries old, stored in stasis. But there's more, something alive. Ward's eyes narrowed. Alive. Suddenly, the ground shook violently. The facility's walls opened, massive machines emerging, half organic, half mechanical. Council constructs, long hidden, activated to defend their secret. Their weapons glowed with deadly energy, designed to vaporize any human. Brace for impact. Ward shouted. The Iron Dawn fired first, blasting the closest constructs into pieces. Fighters swarmed, targeting weak points, while orbital cannons rained destruction from above. On the ground, Reyes' forces engaged the remaining machines, fighting with precision and fury. Amidst the chaos, a single pod opened in the facility's heart. Inside, a figure stirred. Human, but not like Ward's crew. Taller, stronger, enhanced. A survivor of Council experiments, one of the last engineered super soldiers meant to end humanity. Ward's comms lit up. All units, priority target, the central pod. The figure stepped out, eyes glowing faintly. Its first movement shattered walls and sent shockwaves across the battlefield. Humans fell back but regrouped immediately, coordinating in perfect unison. Ward gritted his teeth. It's them versus us. No hesitation. Everyone, attack. The final battle began in earnest. The Iron Dawn's cannons tore into the super soldiers' constructs. Fighters swarmed, dodging energy blasts. Ward piloted through debris, narrowly avoiding death. On the planet below, Reyes led human squads, every shot, every move synchronized. The super soldier advanced, crushing machines and striking humans with terrifying strength. But Ward and his crew had something it didn't: ingenuity. Using a combination of gravity manipulation, coordinated fire, and sheer daring, they trapped the creature inside a collapsing chamber. A final shot from the Iron Dawn's railguns hit perfectly, knocking the super soldier unconscious. Silence fell for a heartbeat. Then, above the battlefield, the Council fleet hesitated. Their ground assault had failed. Their superweapon neutralized. Their ships taking heavy losses. Fear began to ripple through the ranks. Ward looked at Reyes. "This is it. Time to finish this." Reyes nodded. Full assault. No mercy. The fleet unleashed everything. The void erupted in fire, metal, and light. Council ships exploded in sequence, fighters disintegrated, and planetary defenses annihilated the landing squads. Humans fought with relentless precision, proving the galaxy had underestimated them. Hours later, silence fell over the Sol system. Smoke drifted through orbit. Burned-out ships floated as monuments to human resolve. The Iron Dawn hovered, battered but intact. Ward stepped onto the observation deck, looking at Earth below. The ice, the forests, the oceans, they were intact, alive. Humanity had survived. Hidden colonies began contacting Ward's fleet, confirming survival in distant systems. He turned to Reyes. "The Council tried to erase us. They failed. Not because of luck. Because humans never give up. We fight. We survive. We win." Reyes nodded, a rare smile crossing his face. "And now the galaxy will remember why humanity cannot be controlled." Ward looked at the stars. "Let them come. We are ready." Across the Sol system, the remnants of the Council fleets retreated, defeated and humiliated. Humanity had awakened, not just to survive, but to reclaim its rightful place. And somewhere in the void, deep in hidden systems, humans long thought lost received the signal. The message spread like wildfire. The Deathworlders have returned. Humanity fights again. The galaxy had changed forever. And for the first time in centuries, humans everywhere looked to the stars with hope and fear, for they knew one truth above all: never challenge the Deathworlders. Humanity always rises.